Hi, this is Russ McClellan, operating partner with Keller Williams Realty and the host of this show, Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. I want to take just a minute to say a heartfelt thank you for your support and tuning into our show each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I'm very proud to share that we are celebrating our 50th radio show this month and launching into our third consecutive year of this show, all thanks to you. I also want to thank all the amazing people that were kind enough to come on the show and share their stories, thoughts, fears, wisdom, and experiences with all of us over the last 2 years, including my co-hosts and friends, Sharon Crockett and Michael Maher with Prime Lending. I personally have made some amazing friendships as a direct result of this radio show, and I couldn't be more grateful. As always, throw the phone in the drawer, be present, spend some time with your friends and loved ones, and make it a fantastic Saturday. Thanks again for your amazing support of Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. Hi, this is Russ McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, thanks for tuning into our show each and every Saturday morning. I wanted to share the fact that we've been in business now about a year and a half. We have over 50 real estate agents, and there's a reason for that. Mainly, it's relationship and culture. You know, sometimes people definitely look at the money and the commissions and the splits. But at the end of the day, it's about relationships, trust, that familial connection that you have at Keller Williams. That's what we strive to do, and that's how we look at our clients. We now have offices in Brewster, Chelan, and Wenatchee. We have agents in Wenatchee and East Wenatchee and Cashmere and Leavenworth, Chelan, Brewster. Really having a good time. So if you're interested in learning about why is Keller Williams Realty growing as fast as we've grown and have as many agents that are focused on their clients as we do, give us a call at 509-888-0038 or just stop by and see us at 1111 North Mission Street right here in Wenatchee.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. I tell you what, I have Ann Tedeschi as my friend, has been a friend of mine for a long time. She's been looking in the rearview mirror, and I've been looking in the front mirror, that window of appraising and selling real estate. We were just talking about that. Ann makes a good analogy. Basically, realtors are out there on the front end. We're trying to get the best deal, the most money we can for our clients if we're representing the sellers, that is. And that's why it's pretty important to understand who you represent in a real estate transaction, buyer or seller. And Ann, we were just talking about how you're an historian. You're trying to make sense of this, and you're regulated by a lot of people.
After the collapse of the residential market in 2008, the government, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, changed the rules on how we conduct our appraisals. And they changed our forms. They changed how we input data into the forms. They changed how we support our adjustments in the appraisal. So basically, an appraisal is an opinion of value. We describe the property. We describe the neighborhood. We describe the current market. So we know if it's an appreciating market. We know if there's a lot oversupply and undersupply. Try and estimate marketing time. And then we get into the specifics of the property. We describe all aspects of the property, everything that's included in it, and then detailed analysis of the home and describing the home. And we get into the actual, what we call the comparable sales analysis, where we do a direct analysis between our subject property and recent sales of similar type homes. Basically, you're comparison shopping. You're comparing the lot, you're comparing the view, you're comparing the location, you're comparing the quality of the home, the condition of the home, the size of the home, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and then you're looking at anything else, garages, shops, swimming pools. So you want to make sure you have everything that's in there. Prior to the collapse, our reports were about 10 pages and pretty generic.
Right.
Now my appraisals average 40 to 50 legal-sized pages.
Right.
And it is a certified technical document used in a federally regulated transaction. They're pretty strict on what we do and how we do it. And if we don't do it correctly, our fines are up to $5 million in 30 years in a federal penitentiary.
That's always
for
nice.
Fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty steep. And so after the collapse of the economy and the real estate market, we lost at least 50% of the appraisers here in the Valley. They just didn't want to or couldn't keep up with all the changes.
Right, and there's different types of lenders or loans. FHA is a government program, VA is a government program, conventional, and not every appraiser does those.
Correct.
Some there's very few actually that do FHA and VA in our area.
There's only one or two, I think, left. There used to be a bunch of us. Most of us got run off just through regulations and.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Those regulations that start in Olympia or Washington, D.C. often start from a place, not unlike we're seeing in the world right now. It often starts from a place of legitimate need, legitimate concerns, but somewhere in the land of government, it seems like it's overkill.
What mostly happened is they tried to make the appraiser also a home inspector.
Yeah.
And we are not.
Right.
We just do a visual inspection of what we can see. So, if there's something they're hiding from us, we're not going to find it. And that's where your home inspections are so important for us, to have that. And when you have that up front, that's just a boon for the appraiser.
Right. And we should have another inspector on another show here because I'll tell you what, those guys are not builders either. I mean, those home inspectors are there to say, well, it looks like that roof might need some work. I'm not sure it's got 5 years. You need to call a roofer. Or I think there's a problem potentially in the heating and cooling system. You need to call they're more like quarterbacking a transaction and giving you the parameters of concern, the red flags that are showing up. And then quite often we need to do even more, dig down deeper with an actual specialist in that area, plumbing, electrical, and so on. Yeah. But so you have all this responsibility. And so I bet it's frustrating when I call up and go, God, it didn't get my value. That really... I did hard. I worked hard. I got a willing and able seller and a willing and able buyer, and now I got an appraiser that's saying it's not worth it. I bet that's frustrating to you because it's not like you're personally saying, I don't like you, so I'm not going to give you the value. I mean,
it's just saying that this is a very hard value to support in the marketplace. And so, and I always come from, what is the market doing? Okay, so we say one sale does not a market make, because there might be something unique about the property, something the seller really wants this particular spot, or some other thing that might be affecting this one sale.
Right.
But if we can get 2 or 3 or 4, now we're making a market.
Yeah, that works both ways. It might be an arm's length transaction to your brother, and it might show $100,000 less than it's really worth. And
then that's not an arm's length transaction to an appraiser. That's a family sale.
Family sale.
And we would not use that in our appraisal because it's not a market transaction.
Right. So you got to kind of do your homework.
Right.
And it's hard. You're you're kind of a private eye.
And a sleuth. I definitely do a lot of sleuthing for sure. And that's where my relationship with realtors comes in handy, because I can call you and say, I'm working on this and I'm struggling with a comp to support this upper end of value. Mm-hmm. Do you know of anything that I can use? Mm-hmm. And you know your market, and you know what's listing and what's pending, and so you typically can help me find, or you can help explain.
Yeah.
Right? So if I know that, okay, we had 18 people bidding on this property, I can support that. Mm-hmm. Okay? But if we just have this one person and the property's been on the market for 8 months and they're the only ones looking at it, but they still want to pay this high price because they want this property, then I'm going to have a hard time.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, the competency factor. We're seeing, I'll tell you what, I love Northwest MLS as far as, I love the ability to share information. I love the ability to get my listings out to more people. But where I'm struggling right now is this difference between fiduciary, the word fiduciary, you should look it up, and functionary. And we're seeing more and more and more people coming from other places that have no knowledge at all of our market, especially on land, which has so many more variables of infrastructure, et cetera, access, easements, you name it. I mean, it's like a different industry than houses. But we're seeing this invasion of buyers coming from the west side of the mountains, which we've seen for a lot of years, but it's accelerating now. We talked about that. But I'm also seeing these realtors coming over, and they're trying to do a dance. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get this a lot, and they'll say, well, that's my best friend, so I need to represent him. I'm like, I could kind of see if you wanted to represent a guy you didn't like in an area that you knew nothing about, but...
Exactly, and that's competency goes with the appraisers, too.
Yeah.
We have to be geographically competent in the area we're working in, or we have to hire somebody to help us become competent in that area.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that by the time stuff hits the internet, it's been through a few filters. There's things that are information-based that have hyper-local focus is the only way you're going to understand it. And it's not on the MLS data form in the Northwest MLS.
Right.
There's things that happen locally in small-town America, And I'm not talking about pocket listings. That's where it's you sign a listing and put it in your pocket. You don't tell anybody. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you live and breathe and sleep in the town in which you work, not that it's illegal for somebody, because our license allows us as realtors to sell real estate all over the state. But if I had my best friend and he wanted to buy a downtown Seattle condo in a high-rise, it's the last thing I'm going to do is think that I can represent him.
I get friends from back east asking me what their home is worth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't work that market area.
Yeah, right. Aren't you supposed to know everything? And I just think, so it's important to understand that, it's a tough game that you're in as an appraiser. The only thing that I think we both talked about earlier that I do get sometimes, like in our industry, there's a lot of levels, good, bad, people that should be out of the real estate business.
Oh, it's same in appraising.
Right. So like when someone comes in and it's $500,000 house and they give me a value that's $499,000 on a $500,000 house that I have sold.
To me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at what is the market doing, and what is it, you're trying to reflect the marketplace. And so it's an appraisal is an opinion of value, but it's an opinion based on what realtors, what buyers and sellers are doing, and not what I think.
Right.
And so it has to be, it's a subjective thing that you have to do objectively.
I've actually told an appraiser kind of as a little smart aleck, I'm like, are you sure it wasn't $499,427.15? Because you're darn good, man.
And there is no appraisal or appraiser in the world that could be that accurate.
Right.
If you can be within 1 or 2 or 3%, that's an A+ appraisal.
Yeah.
Right? And so if the sale price was negotiated fairly at this, and you can support that in your appraisal, then put that. Don't say it's $1,000 less when you know you're not that accurate. If I can be within $5,000, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So and I always try and make sure that I'm not messing up somebody else's because I'm doing something subjectively.
Good to listen out there, appraisers. If you miss it by $1,000, take a big, deep breath. Give them the value, if at all possible, because you're not that good, man. I'm telling you. Anyway. Hey, I love this. I'm with A.T. Appraisal Services and Tedeschi. She's been a friend of mine for a long time, although she's probably booked till, 4 Christmases from now. But if you need to talk to her, her number is 886. That's area code 509-886-8805. And I appreciate it. We're constantly facing evolution. We've never been quite in a time like we're in now. I think we're in for a continued challenge. Which is something that is going to be hard on a lot of us. Going to be hard on realtors. Going to be hard on realtors, meaning like if we have nothing to sell and we have 10,000 buyers, that sounds good, but we go broke.
Well, that's where communication between appraisers and realtors is essential.
It really is, and to be professional and respectful, because again, I think typically in most cases, most people are good people. And if you just try to put like what's going on in our world right now, just try to put yourself in the other person's shoes for just a minute. Try to not be so instantaneously judgmental about and reactive about everything. Maybe take some time to listen to what people are saying before you form a judgment and get yourself all in a tirade. I think this reactionary world and instant gratification world and 127 characters or whatever it is. I mean, we just got to slow down a little bit and listen to each other and enjoy one another. Hey, I really appreciate you coming in, Ann. It's been a lot of fun.
No, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to Home Sweet Home and Russ McClellan. Back in a couple minutes.
Home Sweet Home. Thanks, Keller Williams. I love my dream home.